This room was used by the Russian Tsars to entertain foreign guests and dignitaries, and every surface of every wall is covered in individual amber pieces, all ornately put together. So it's a real statement of wealth and beauty. It was known as the eighth wonder of the world.
For over 75 years, the fate of the Amber Room, a treasure of such staggering beauty it was dubbed the eighth wonder of the world, has remained one of history's most tantalizing mysteries. Looted by Nazi Germany from a Russian palace in 1941, and last seen in the wartime chaos of 1945, the priceless chamber vanished, seemingly into thin air, sparking a treasure hunt that has spanned generations and continents. Theories have ranged from its destruction in a fire to it being secreted away in a hidden bunker, but definitive proof has always been just out of reach. Now, the dark, silent depths of the Baltic Sea have offered up a clue so significant it's reignited the search with electrifying intensity. Divers have located the wreck of a German steamship, the last to flee the Amber Room's final known location, its hold filled with crates of unknown contents. The legend of the Amber Chamber.
For more than 200 years, its home was here at St. Catherine's Palace at the gates of St. Petersburg, later Leningrad. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, triggering World War II. In 1941, German troops advanced east towards Leningrad. They murdered and plundered and sent the Amber Room on its last great journey. Fortune seekers are still searching for the treasure to this day.
Before it was a lost treasure, the Amber Room was a breathtaking masterpiece of Baroque art, a chamber that radiated a celestial honey-hued light. Its story began in 1701, not in Russia but in Prussia. It was originally conceived for Charlottenburg Palace in Berlin, the residence of Frederick, the first king in Prussia, at the behest of his wife Sophia Charlotte. The design was drafted by the German Baroque sculptor Andreas Schluter and brought to life by the Danish amber craftsman Gottfried Wolfram. They, along with other masters from Danzig, labored until 1707 to create a series of magnificent wall panels crafted from over 6 tons of precious amber, intricately carved and backed with shimmering gold leaf and mirrors. The completed panels were initially installed in the Berlin City Palace, where they astounded all who saw them. Among its greatest admirers was the formidable Tsar Peter the Great of Russia. During a state visit in 1716, the Prussian king, Frederick William I, seeking to forge a powerful alliance against Sweden, presented the entire room to Peter as a gift. This single act of diplomacy transferred one of Europe's greatest artistic treasures to the Russian Empire. In Russia, the room found its permanent home in the Catherine Palace at Tsarskoye Selo, the imperial family's summer residence near St. Petersburg. However, the grand halls of the Russian palace dwarfed the chamber's original dimensions. Peter's daughter, Empress Elizabeth, commissioned the Italian architect Francesco Bartolomeo Rastrelli to expand upon the original design. Rastrelli ingeniously integrated the Prussian panels into a much larger space, which ultimately covered more than 55 square meters. He added more amber sourced from the Baltics, gilded carvings, brilliant gemstones, and Florentine mosaics, creating a spectacle of unparalleled opulence. The chamber, now adorned with statues of angels and children and lit by the soft glow of candles reflecting in its countless mirrored surfaces, was a treasure valued in modern terms at anywhere from $142 million to over $500 million. It was, by all accounts, a wonder of the world. Stolen beauty. The splendor of the Amber Room was tragically ephemeral. In June 1941, Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. As German soldiers from Army Group North advanced on Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, the curators at the Catherine Palace scrambled to protect Russia's cultural treasures. A plan was made to disassemble and evacuate the Amber Room. However, decades of exposure to heat from candles and the cold of Russian winters had taken their toll. The delicate amber had dried and become exceedingly brittle, making any attempt to remove the panels without them crumbling to dust a near impossibility. In a desperate last-ditch effort, the curators concealed the chamber behind a facade of mundane wallpaper, hoping the advancing German forces would overlook the fabled room. The attempt was futile. The Amber Room was too famous, its legend too well known. German soldiers, under the direct supervision of 2 experts, knew exactly what they were looking for. they meticulously dismantled the entire chamber in a mere 36 hours. On October 14, 1941, the priceless panels, packed into 27 crates, arrived in Königsberg, East Prussia, modern-day Kaliningrad, Russia. There, the room was reassembled and put on display in the city's historic castle. A local newspaper on November 13, 1941, even announced the exhibition, a brazen display of one of the war's most significant cultural thefts. The Amber Room remained in Königsberg Castle for over 2 years, but by late 1944 and early 45, the tide of the war had turned. Allied forces were closing in, and the Red Army was advancing relentlessly from the east. On January 21st and 24th, 1945, Hitler issued orders to evacuate all looted cultural property from Königsberg. The room was once again disassembled and crated up, ready for transport. But the chaos of the collapsing front was absolute. Erich Koch, the Nazi official in charge of Königsberg's civil administration, fled his post, leaving the city's defense in disarray. Before the Amber Room could be moved, the city became a war zone. In August 1944, a massive bombing raid by the Royal Air Force left the city and its castle heavily damaged. What the bombers didn't destroy, the advancing Red Army's artillery did, culminating in the city's final surrender on April 9, 1945. In the smoke and ruins of the fallen city, the Amber Room disappeared from history. Decades of whispers and dead ends.
The fact that the Amber Room was not found in these mine tunnels, in the known ones, is, in my view, an indication that it never left Königsberg in East Prussia.
In the aftermath of World War II, the search began. It became a modern-day quest for the Holy Grail. Soviet authorities, led by Alexander Brusov, immediately launched an official investigation, but the trail was cold. One of the most prominent theories was the crates had been destroyed in the fires that consumed Königsberg Castle during the final days of the battle. Yet other rumors persisted, suggesting a far more complex fate. Some eyewitnesses claimed to have seen crates being loaded onto the MV Wilhelm Gustloff, a German military transport ship that was sunk by a Soviet submarine in January 1945 while evacuating personnel and cargo from the region. This led to decades of speculation that the treasure lay at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. Others whispered of a cover-up. A variation of the destruction theory, popular among some Kaliningrad residents, suggested the Red Army had found the room intact in the castle cellars, but that its existence was suppressed, so the blame for its loss could be laid squarely on the Nazis. A final chance sunk to the seabed. For decades, the mystery surrounding the Amber Room remained just that. Then, in September 2020, a team of Polish divers from the Baltic Tech Group made a groundbreaking discovery. After more than a year of meticulously cross-referencing reports from fishermen about snagged nets with Soviet military records detailing aerial attacks, they uncovered something remarkable on the ocean floor of the Baltic Sea. At a depth of 290 feet, northwest of Utska, lay the exceptionally preserved wreck of the German steamship the SS Karlsruhe. But this was no ordinary shipwreck. The Karlsruhe was the last German vessel to depart from Königsberg, setting sail on April 12, 1945. It played a crucial role in Operation Hannibal, the massive evacuation of civilians from East Prussia. On board were over 1,000 refugees and 300 tons of cargo. The ship's journey was cut short the following morning when it was struck by a torpedo from a Soviet warplane. Only 113 people survived. Documentation strongly suggested the Amber Room had been hastily crated and transported to Königsberg's docks as the Red Army closed in. The Karlsruhe was the last chance for the Germans to escape with this fabled treasure. Initial sonar scans and diving missions revealed the shipwreck in remarkably good condition. The evidence seemed compelling: the right ship departing from the right port at the right moment, laden with mysterious cargo. But with hundreds of tons of cargo resting in the deep, treacherous waters, the complete story of the Karlsruhe's fateful voyage remains shrouded in secrecy. The wreck stands as a time capsule, with many believing the most precious secrets still lie hidden. As hope for unearthing the original Amber Room has been reignited, Russia has already embarked on its own ambitious project. In 2003, the new Amber Room, a breathtaking replica glowing with 350 shades of amber, was unveiled at the Catherine Palace, showcasing enduring artistry and mystery that continues to enchant the world. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think they'll find the amber room at the bottom of the Baltic? Let us know in the comments section below.